Hello, good evening. It is Friday. This is over and over and over again. My name is Richard, and this is, of course, the Arsenal Women's Show. It is the first and the best Arsenal Women's Show on YouTube. I don't know if it's the first. It's certainly the first regular one. We're on to episode 106 now. We've done of these shows. Fantastic. Now, this week, of course, we are going to look back on the last two games that we've had. Of course, Liverpool away and Bayern Munich at home. Two rather dramatic games for very different reasons. So we'll look back on them. But the main point of the show today is going to be looking back on the first half of the season. We have, of course, played our last game of 2024. So we're going to look back on the season so far, the good and the bad. It's been quite a dramatic and traumatic season in some ways, but it's certainly going in the right direction, isn't it? So we're going to look at that. Also, we'll, of course, discuss the situation with the manager. When is that going to be sorted out? Come on, get it sorted, club. Let's get it done. Anyway, that's all coming up. It's all coming up the other side of this. And, of course, joining us, as always, is, of course, the Lord, all the way back from Meadow Park on Wednesday night. It's good to see you again. How are you?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm not bad at all. Better than at Meadow Park because the weather conditions were really awful. It was raining heavily and there was a very strong wind. So I was lucky to sit on the stands and not being on the pitch in short arm kits and shorts. Yeah, not the best conditions, but well, it was the same conditions for both teams. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best conditions, and I think it had an impact on the game, which we will obviously talk about. But yeah, I mean, it was a great night in the end in terms of the team and the performance and the victory. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, please check out Andreas's vlog from Wednesday night's game because it is fantastic. I mean, they seem to get better and better every game. This one, I think, is the best one yet. It's fantastic, and of course, a special guest appearance from a special guest on the show, of course, Gunnosaurus, who seems to just be popping up. He thinks to follow Andreas around now, which is great. So he makes a little appearance as well, which is good. So it was a fantastic vlog again. So congratulations to Andreas for some more great work. And hopefully all you guys will watch it and enjoy it because it is really, really good. We've had some comments on already, actually. Well, Angie's with us in the chat because, of course, Angie, if you remember, is on her work do tonight. She's blown us out. We couldn't get her to come on. She's going for her work's Christmas do. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Come on, Angie, what are you doing? But at least she's hit the like super early, which is good. So that's sort of redemption a little bit. We might let you off, Ange, for that. Terry says, "Blimey, Ange, did you poo the bed?" It seems like she's in early tonight, which is good. Terry, of course, says, "Evening, Ange, how's life treating her without Renee in it no more?" Well, we don't think that's going to happen, do we? We don't know if that's going to happen. 170 Gunner says, "Hello, Rich Gunner. Can you do a stream with Joshua?" Who's Joshua? I don't know who Joshua is, but if he wants to come on, he's welcome to come on. Terry says, "Good evening, Richard and Super Duper Andreas." Indeed. And Greg with us, as always. He says, "Evening, Rich the Lord and the mighty Terry." Indeed. So, of course, as always, we always try to do things chronologically on this show. Why not? We're going to go back, of course, to last weekend and what turned out to be quite a difficult game, but yet another victory for Renee. Now, of course, it wasn't ever going to be an easy game. Coming back off the trip to Norway, we only got back on sort of Friday evening, one training session and off to Liverpool for the game. It was never ever going to be easy. And yes, we maybe made it slightly more difficult for ourselves, missing some chances and stuff. But ultimately, what this showed me is that this team are capable of digging out a result. And that's so important, isn't it? Because you're not going to play well every week. You're not going to have the Aston Villa type performances, the Brighton type performances, the Juventus away type performances. You're not going to get them every week. It's impossible. Not even the best teams in the world play like that every single week. And when you're a little bit off it, when you've had a tough week and you've had to struggle to go away from home and get the victory, it's just finding a way to win. And we did, obviously Leslie gets the goal again. She can't stop scoring at the minute. Obviously, it should have been 2-0 with a penalty. We know Mariona hit the post, and we had 1 or 2 other chances in the first half, and the second half was a battle. Let's be honest, it was a struggle. We never really hit our best form, but in the end, excuse me, in the end, we won the game, and I think that's probably the most important thing, isn't it? Because in those situations, it's not always going to work, but you've just got to win, and we managed to do that, and that was, for me, that was really impressive, actually.
Yeah, we knew that we go to Liverpool and we need the 3 points. We need to keep the pace of Man City, and of course from behind Man United, Brighton are pressing us. So we needed the 3 points, and we were in this Champions League sandwich with the game in Norway, and then the group final at Meadow Park, and it's normal that a few percent concentration in their minds is on Champions League, because we said it last week. This result from Munich in the first game, this was in their mind, and they wanted a revenge. And then going from Norway along a journey and playing on Thursday and then on Sunday in Liverpool, it's not easy. Of course, it's their profession, and they have to show professionalism. They are athletes. It's their job. Yeah, we know that. But we got the job done. We scored the first goal, and I think the match was on its way to develop for us. I just checked the game again, the statistics, and 7 minutes after the goal from Lessie, we had the penalty. And I think if Mariona scores and we are 2-0 up, then it will be a calm evening for us. We will win without problems. But she hit the post, and if someone would have told her before, you have to hit the post with this shot, probably she would have she would have hit the back of the net. It was such exact ball on the post. It happens. And we saw a few days later the self-confidence and strength for Mariona, that she walked up to take another penalty. So yeah, it happens. I read that she had a 100% record from the spot in this year for Barcelona and for us.
Wow.
The 2-0 would have brought the match to bed, I'm sure. So the second half was a bit difficult, and we struggled. It was not far from an equalizer for Liverpool, but in the end, we got the result, and that's what counted. And everybody was looking forward to the Champions League game. So and besides, we got the 3 points. Man City lost. Chelsea lost 2 points. So this shows it's not easy for the teams that are playing Champions League with all these matches midweek and traveling around. It's not only playing Sunday, Wednesday, or Thursday, Sunday. It's also traveling abroad, traveling back. Then you have an away match, traveling again in the league. That's difficult. And we saw that even Chelsea and Man City, of course, because of their injury crisis, they lost points. We didn't lose points. We won our 3 points. So I was satisfied on Sunday evening.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've said this plenty. I say it nearly every week. I'll take a scrappy 1-0 win every single game, because it's 3 points on the board. And yes, okay, you need to have good performances thrown in as well along the way. Of course you do. But sometimes, like you said, in the circumstances of that game, in between the 2 Champions League games, I say playing on a Thursday and then travelling back all that way, and then having to travel up to Liverpool. And you're right, they're professional athletes with their job, absolutely. And we shouldn't look to make excuses, but some weeks are going to be more difficult than other weeks, aren't they, to negotiate? And obviously that particular week was a tough one. And to come out of it with that victory was fantastic, I thought. And yeah, obviously if Mariona sticks a penalty away, like you said, we all relax. It's a comfortable game. We probably win without too many problems and no worries. In the end, of course, we were hanging on a bit at the end, as I kind of expected that we might have to. And the fact that we can do that, we can show that other side to our game, because it's all been rather too easy. It seemed rather too easy in recent weeks. Wherever we play, and we just whopping them aside without too many issues, and it's been fantastic. And I say that's not realistic to happen every week, is it? And sometimes you have to find a way, and we did. And that, to me, that's a good sign going forward, because we're going to have a lot more stern tests to come throughout the rest of this season, if we're going to be successful, we need to find a way to win more games, and we did. And to me, we can look back on that and we can use that experience in a positive way for future games when we're going to be in a similar situation again, and know that we can pull it out the bag. So yeah, I was not happy with the performance necessarily. It was not great. We played a lot better, but the result was fantastic, and it's a results game, and we have to keep winning. Like you said, Chelsea dropping points maybe a bit unexpectedly, Man City losing again unexpectedly, and the fact that we've pulled some points back, it's a good way to. It was obviously the last WSL game of the year. It was a good way to finish the year, knowing that we're still in with a chance. We're only 7 points off Chelsea now. 7 points, and 7 points. It seems quite a long way, but ultimately it's doable. If we can beat Chelsea, then that cuts that gap to 4 points. They draw another couple of games, which is possible, and it's on again. So I'm not writing it off. I'm not saying it's going to be straightforward. It's not going to be easy, but the fact that now everyone can see that they are fallible, they can drop points, they will drop more points as well. We just keep winning our games, and who knows? And that second place, if nothing else, is up for grabs now, isn't it? 1 point behind Man City. We can definitely pull them back and overtake them, and then let's see where we can go. But we'll talk about the sort of season so far in a little while. Greg says there, a nice cup of tea and a chat with the lads, the best way to spend it. Absolutely, we're in definitely agreement with you there. LG says a Rene over Jonas. Well, obviously, yeah, looking at the results, I think that's obvious, isn't it? But we will talk about that again a little bit more. Terry says, Andrea, sad the football we all want to know, did you give it large to your mates that came over, your Bayern Munich mates the other night? Was they there? Was they at the game?
Yeah, 2 of them were at the game, and of course they had totally different opinion about the match. When we talked after, I said all in all it was a deserved win. We will talk about it later, and of course they said, oh no, it was, look at the statistics, it was a draw at least, and we only made 3 or 4 mistakes more than Arsenal. Arsenal did not create any chance by themselves, only because Bayern made the mistakes, and we should have won or at least draw. Of course they saw it that way, but yeah, let's talk about the game and the reactions later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Joe says it was really important that we won that game for us to go in against Bayern with confidence. Yeah, exactly. Momentum and stuff's important, and confidence. Yeah, and you get that from results, and it was important, absolutely. Greg says -5 in Norway, playing in Liverpool must have been like playing in the middle of summer. Yeah. Although to be fair, it's normally quite wet and damp in Liverpool, isn't it? So I don't think the weather was much better. But anyway, it was obviously warmer than Norway. Absolutely. Terry says City, to be fair, are totally in free fall. Well, I don't know about totally in free fall, but yeah, obviously they had a bad result at the weekend, and we took advantage of that. Nose says there, well done, Arsenal ladies. Indeed, yeah, well done, Arsenal ladies. And that's, at the moment, it's been fantastic, hasn't it? So, of course, as we sort of briefly touched on there, we beat Liverpool very, very hard, had to dig in. And it didn't get any easier, did it? Because Wednesday night, as Andreas already mentioned, in awful weather conditions that made it really difficult for football, wind and rain and God knows what was going on, we managed to pull it out of the bag. What a night that was. Now, of course, we'd already qualified. So in a way, as some of the girls said after the game in interview, didn't they, that we had nothing to lose in many ways, and I think maybe that was a good thing for us, because we didn't have the pressure, did we? We didn't need a result to qualify, and had we needed a result to qualify, I think it would have been a totally different game actually, because there's a lot more pressure. And obviously Bayern Munich had qualified as well, so it wasn't really the pressure on them. It was just about who could win the group, and Bayern only needed a draw. And I actually think that maybe played into our hands a little bit as well, because I think if at the back of your mind, you can draw the game and still get the end result that you need. And maybe sometimes that's as a negative impact on the team. Now, I don't think Bayern played particularly badly. Yes, as Andreas sort of mentioned before, I do think maybe there was a couple of mistakes that they made for the goals. I think we made mistakes for their goals as well, let's be honest. We didn't defend particularly well, did we, in those moments? But I think with the wind and stuff like that, set pieces were always going to be a problem. And it was for both teams. All the goals came from set pieces, from corners and crosses into the box, which was always going to be difficult to defend for both teams. And, it was a strange game in many ways, wasn't it? Because the wind had such a big impact on the way the game went, it was difficult to create a lot from open play. I think both teams struggled. But I kind of agree with what Andrea said before. I think overall we did deserve that. And I think we deserved it for two reasons. One, because of the attitude that we showed, even going behind and to find a way back was unbelievable. That was against a really good side. I mean, Bayern are a decent team. Let's not pretend anything else. They're a very, very good side. And also as well, the fact I thought we deserved it because I thought we played well. I thought in the conditions, I thought we played well. We had good spells in the game. We were the better team much of that second half, I thought. First half, we started well, then maybe faded a bit. They got into it. Second half at the start, they obviously got the goal, but straight away we equalised, and then you could see how much we grew in confidence. The substitutions, I thought, made a big difference as well. Extra energy into the team, and I did think we deserved it. It was a tight game, not much to choose between the sides, but I thought overall we did deserve to win it. And I have to say, as much as we've complained about the decision to play at Meadow Park, to move it out of the Emirates, I actually think that was an advantage to us on the night. I mean, obviously, Andreas, you were there at Meadow Park. Of course you were. We've seen the vlog. It's fantastic, as we said. I mean, do you think playing at Meadow Park was actually an advantage rather than playing at the Emirates Arena? Because I actually feel it was. Looking back on it now, having seen the game, I think playing at Meadow, I'm not sure if we'd have won that game at the Emirates.
It's difficult to say. And nobody knows before what weather conditions will be. Of course, with the weather conditions, this made an advantage to play at Meadow Park in this old stadium, and the conditions before. And I read that Bayern, the officials were complaining they had to change their flight to another airport, they had to change the hotel and everything like this. It's not the most comfortable situation for them. Of course, Emirates is the better overall experience. I was standing in the queue about 30 minutes, 40 minutes before opening of the turnstiles, and I was totally wet. Just 30 minutes in the rain, and when I started the queue, it was a soft rain, and then it was heavier and heavier, really bad conditions. And I read a lot yesterday and today, articles in German online magazines and etc. And one said Arsenal is not worth playing Champions League if they have such bad conditions in such a small stadium and old and everything, and the weather condition. I don't think that we were responsible for the weather. Nobody ordered rain and heavy wind from us, and the conditions were for both teams equal. And writing an online article, Arsenal is not worth being in the Champions League. No, I can't accept this. Of course, the club made a big mistake with the match at the Emirates, selling tickets already for the Emirates, etc. We discussed this, but then we got the allowance from UEFA to play at Meadow Park, and why not? There were a lot of Champions League games in previous years at Meadow Park, and every opponent survived it. And look at the Bayern campus. It's only for 2,500 attendance. It's a smaller stadium. Did we say we lost there because of the small stadium? We want to play at the Allianz Arena. You have to take the conditions as they are. They were bad, but we came better into the match. We started good. Of course, we scored after 7 minutes. It was not us scoring. It was Loris Vekosdottir, the Munich captain, own goal. Anyway, she was under pressure, and therefore it happened. And once again, the wind and the conditions had a big influence on all the goals, because it was very difficult to defend corners, and we saw a lot of long balls, long passes. For example, from Leo Williamson, they were going into nowhere because of the wind. Difficult conditions. We grew better in the match. The first 30 minutes, I think we were clearly the better team. Okay, we were 1-0 up, and then I didn't understand why we gave away the control. We played more backwards or tried to keep the ball, and we lost ball possession, and we brought Bayern back into the game. And so it was not undeserved that they scored the equalizer. Although it was another set piece, and you can say we defended bad in this situation. How can Georgia Stanway, who is not the tallest player, how can she win a header in the 6 yards box and head back? Yeah, so it was also defended, not the best defending by us, but also weather conditions, the wind. Nobody thought that the ball would come so long to Georgia Stanway, and this happens. So at halftime, 1-1, okay, but what we saw over all the 90 or 94 minutes, our team was fighting for pride. As I said before, this 5-2 was in their mind. They wanted at least to show a better performance and show that we are at least equal. Then this second goal happened. It was one long ball from Julia Gwynn, just over the lines, over all our defenders. Shouldn't happen, but Magda Eriksson was there and was well done from her. 2 goals from a center back in such a game. And then Alex Strauss, the Bayern manager, said after the game, if Bayern would have kept the lead for longer, for 10-15 minutes, they probably would have won the game. And I agree. It was after 58 minutes. If they keep the 2-1 until 75th, 80th minute, I don't think that we will turn around and win the game. Probably Bayern would have won. But we, we found a quick answer with another corner. And of course, Ena Mahmutovic, the Bayern goalkeeper, made the mistake. But don't blame her for this. She's 20 years young, and she's only playing because the normal number 1 goalkeeper, Maria Gross, was diagnosed on cancer a few weeks ago. So 20 years young goalkeeper, she has not the experience, or does not she had not to deal with this pressure of an international game, of a Champions League game. It happens. She made a mistake, of course, and Leslie Russo, as you said, she can't stop scoring. Then we had the equalizer, and after this goal, it was only Arsenal trying to win the game, because Bayern said, okay, we're not 2-1 up, but okay, let's take the 2-2. We are winning the group. And then I think Alex Strauss, the German manager, made a big mistake with his substitutes. After 75 minutes, he subbed Jovana Damjanovic, the number 9, out. She was one, always a threat, always never giving a ball away, and always dangerous. And I thought, oh, very good that she's out. And it was after 75 minutes. And 5 minutes later, he subbed off Clara Bull and Pernille Harder. The whole attacking line. Why? Didn't he want to score another goal? No. They wanted to take the 2-2 draw and took out 3 attackers, and that was good for us. So this proves we were the team that wanted to win. And so you can't say it was not deserved. No, we were trying to find the winning goal, and of course it was another mistake from Tuva Hansen. How can she raise her hands to defend the ball? Everybody knows if you have your hands up and the ball gets on your hands, it's a stupid rule, but it's the rule, and it's clear handball. It's a penalty. And when I couldn't see this in the stadium, we heard the whistle, and I said to my neighbor, oh, it's a penalty for us. And she said, why? I said, oh, probably handball. And when you see it on TV and in replay, you must say it's clear handball. It's a stupid rule, but according to the rules, it was a penalty. And then, as I said, the self-confidence from Mariona, 4 days after she missed a penalty to take this again, I said, oh, please let Leslie shoot. She's full of self-confidence. But Mariona made it perfectly, and you can't say that we didn't deserve it. It was 3-2. As I said before, last week, 3-2 for us, and what an atmosphere in the last seconds. And when the final whistle came, it was just fantastic to be there, and the atmosphere in this small stadium, a great experience.
Yeah, it was an amazing night. It was. I mean, that came through at the time watching the game, and then obviously getting some of that atmosphere on the vlog and stuff like that. That's fantastic. And it was, I agree. I think we deserved to win that game. And Bayern were, and I said, when you only need a draw, I do think that affects your mentality, how you approach the game. And as the game wore on, and when it was 2-2, yeah, absolutely, they were happy with that point. Bayern Munich would have took that 2-2 all day long, and they'd have been happy with that. And you're right, we were the team pushing and trying to get the winner because we knew that the win was so important, really, in terms of the next round and who we can get, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. So, but yeah, I mean, it was as I said, it was a strange game due to the win. The goals were all a little bit strange as well, wasn't they? They wasn't like normal goals in many ways, and it was one of them type of games. But again, it's Arsenal finding a way to win when it doesn't look likely. When Bayern scored to go 2-1 up, I didn't think we'd win that game. I've got to be honest. And you're right, equalising straight away, I think was so important, because what that did was it changed the whole momentum of the game, and suddenly then it was 2-2 with 35 minutes still to play, loads of time for either team to win, but certainly for us to win, and I think that made a big difference. And yeah, we showed what we had to do. Now, just before we carry on, we've got a little bit of a surprise for you. All right, look who's with us. Oh, we can't see you, Ange. Where are you? Oh, I think we've gone. Angie's in the house, but she's not, because we can't really see her.
In the dark, like Amar.
Yeah, well, she's actually she's in more of a dark place than Amar is. We've got another one. Let's see if this one works better. Oh, there we go. Look, there we go. There's Angela. How are you? Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Hey, you're live on the show.
We haven't seen Adrian yet, have we?
No, he did reply to us.
Oh, you can hear it. Can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Well, yeah. We can hear you. Yeah, I don't think you can hear us.
Sorry, your sound. I'm outside in the Spursy pub.
Oh,
with Glenn. Right, yeah, sorry, because I can't hear you guys, but I just want to say, wishing you all a wonderful Christmas, Happy New Year.
And the same to you.
Hello, Terry. Hello, Greg. Hello, Grot. Hello, Aggie. Miss Pink Sock, whoever else is in the chat, because I can't see that. Great vlog you did there, Andreas. Well done. Glorious match. I'm going to disappear now, guys. But anyway, take care. Love you all. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. See you soon. Oh, that's Angela. Well, I think she's had a few Bacardi breezes there. Lovely. Looks like she's enjoying herself, which is the main thing, isn't it? Good to see her on. Even though she couldn't hear us, she couldn't see us, but she was there, and that's the most important thing. Which was good, wasn't it? James says Bayern fans were probably still thinking about how they beat us 5-2, so they were just surprised at how we've changed. Well, yeah, I mean, it was a totally different Arsenal, wasn't it? I mean, I don't think they were surprised. They would have known how much better we're playing, but yeah, I mean, they probably expected to get a result, absolutely. Greg says, after going 1-0 up, we tried to play our tactics and it backfired. Well, yeah, we did a little bit. Yeah, you can't hang on to a lead for that long, can you? Terry says, let's be honest, Bayern players scored more goals than Arsenal. Well, yeah, technically they did, yeah, because obviously they got 4 and we scored 2. No, we scored 2, didn't we? And they scored 3. Yeah.
3, yeah.
They scored 3 because they own goal, yeah. But anyway, we still won, and that's the main thing that matters. Terry says, and she looked like she looked a bit like Tina Turner, actually. Yeah, she did look a bit like Tina Turner. Expected her to sing Nutbush City Limits or something there, but anyway, it was good. Terry says, I know it was a pen, but it was the best save of the night. Yeah, it was. Yeah, she just threw her arms up at the ball. I must admit, even on the telly at first view, I was, what's the penalty for? And then obviously you see the replay. It's obvious that she put her arms up, and it's a penalty. So, and yeah, I thought that was clever by Mariona, because I expected Leslie to take the penalty. I've got to be honest, because she's obviously scored penalties before her. Mariona missed the other day, which was a big miss. And I'm thinking, how much pressure is that? 5 minutes to go, or whatever there was at the end of the game. A game that we have to win. Is that probably our last chance to win the game? And she steps up and sends a keeper the wrong way. I mean, how cool was that? That was amazing. So, yeah, Mariona showed that she is a top level player, because that's what top level players do. They don't worry about what they've missed before. They just step up and do the job they have to do. And she did that brilliantly, and that was fantastic. And she says, I'm a private dancer. Indeed you are. I'm sure. Fantastic. But yeah, it was a little bit seen a turn like that, actually, which was good. Greg says, good to see Ange enjoying herself after watching the rubbish so far this season. Yeah, maybe that's what you need sometimes. Don't let your hair down as it is, and enjoy yourself at the end of it. It's been a tough few months, let's be honest. It's been really tough. But yeah, so we've won the group. Wow, who would have thought that after losing 5-2 in game day 1? Who would have thought we would have won the group when we had to play Bayern Munich again? We had 2 games against Juventus. We didn't know much about Valerenga, and here we are, 5 wins out of 5 after that game. Incredible. I mean, what an incredible turnaround that is. And now, of course, it leaves the drawer where we're going to get one of either Wolfsburg, Real Madrid, or Manchester City in the next round. So it's worked out quite well because I'm quite happy with that draw. All those teams would be potentially beatable over 2 legs. I mean, who would you prefer out of them, Lord Andreas? Would you prefer Wolfsburg or not really?
No, I would prefer Real Madrid. They won't be easy, but the easiest of these 3. And we don't have the best remembrance of playing Wolfsburg. Not only last time, I think we lost before.
Yeah, we did.
I don't want to play against Wolfsburg and Man City. Well, it's not European. It's not a European competition if you play against a team from your own league. Of course, we can beat them, especially now with their injury crisis. You don't know whether they have Lauren Hemp or Miedema or Alex Greenwood back till March. But it would be another similar to WSL game. And I prefer a European opponent, so Real Madrid would be my choice. But anyway, we can beat all 3 of them, even Wolfsburg. And if you see who won the group, Barcelona, Lyon, Chelsea, would have been much more difficult. So let's be optimistic and wait for the draw. It's in February, the draw, and the games are in March. So a lot can happen till then. Hopefully no injuries. Maybe we have a small chance to get Vicky Pelova back till end of March. I don't know. There's a chance. And if we continue our good run that we have now, we shouldn't be afraid of any team, and all 3 of them are beatable. So I'm really optimistic. And yes, of course, I already have my ticket for the quarterfinal. I ordered it on Thursday. So let them come.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it doesn't. I'm not bothered which one of those 3 we get. Obviously, Lyon would probably be the toughest one. Man City, I agree. It's a WSL game, and in European competition, you want to play European teams, don't you? You don't really want to play a WSL team particularly, but and yes, Real Madrid would be the weakest of the 3. But I'm not particularly fussed. I think we can beat all of them over 2 legs. But the only thing is, it's a long way off. Lots of things can change in football quite quickly, and not necessarily just injuries. Yes, obviously injuries are an issue. We don't want to lose any key players before that game comes around, but also as well, form and different things. We could have a different manager by then. Who knows what's going to happen at the club? So it's if we were playing it right now, if we were playing it in the next couple of weeks, I would be confident we'd beat any of them, no problem at all. But let's see how things are when it comes around to February, March time. Let's see what position that we're in, what form we're in, injuries and stuff like that and stuff. And let's see. But yeah, I'm not worried about any of those 3 teams. And I think winning the group looking at it as proved to be a massive, massive advantage. And I'm really, really glad that we did it. And I do think it's important. LG says, I prefer Wolfsburg. I want revenge. I feel we're much better on Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg have regressed a little bit. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think we'd be more ready to play Wolfsburg now. We'd be in a much stronger position to beat them, absolutely. But I'm not really that bothered, actually. I don't really care who we get. I really don't. I'm excited for the game, and I'm excited for the fact that I think we've got an absolutely brilliant chance to go through to another semi-final again, and that would be amazing. So yeah, I'm not overly bothered. James says I prefer Real Madrid. So yeah, I mean, obviously Real Madrid gives us the best chance to go through, I suppose. Wolfsburg, yeah, the revenge aspect, I do kind of like that because they've knocked us out 2 seasons in a row, didn't they? And that semi-final, of course, as we know, the late goal and all that kind of stuff, how disappointing that was. So yeah, it would be nice. The celebrations, I didn't like the way they celebrated when they won that game at the Emirates that night and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that would be nice. I agree. But yeah, let's whoever we get, doesn't matter. We're going to go through. We're going to win. We're going to be in the semi-final again. Terry's the same. I don't care who we play. Exactly. We don't care who we play. Let's just get the game on. Let's get it won. Greg says we could beat any of them over 2 legs as long as we've got the right person in charge. Well, yeah, that's true. As long as we've got the right person in charge. Let's see who's going to be the right person in charge. We shall see. LG says the top in the group is so important in the Champions League to avoid Barcelona early. Well, yeah. But, I mean, I suppose to win the Champions League, we're probably going to have to beat Barcelona at some stage. But, yeah, you're right. The further we can go into the competition, the better it is, isn't it? Yeah, you know, the more prestige there is, the more money, obviously, as well, and everything else. So, yeah, we've done all that we can do. And says they're waiting for the New Year Renee announcement. It might be before the New Year. It might be before the New Year. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, obviously. What goes on there. And just obviously say Merry Christmas again to everybody, which is great. And Joe said Merry Christmas to Ange as well. Terry says, when Salty takes over, it will be nice to hand her the only Champions League trophy she's ever won. Well, she was kind of at Arsenal when we won it last time, wasn't she? On the coaching staff. So she has won it technically before, but obviously she's only ever going to win anything like that with Arsenal, whether it's previously or in the future. So yeah, LG says I've heard if Chelsea draw at Man City, then they will play each other 3 times in a week. There will be a WSL game sandwiched between the 2 Champions League games. They can't play them, can they, in the next round? Chelsea can't play Man City. Oh yeah, they can because they won the group, didn't they? So they could play Man City. Oh yeah, they could. Yeah, absolutely. Of course they could. Yeah, they could play Man City. Yeah. Oh well, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? That could be good if they kick lumps out of each other 3 games in a row. That might help us, really, mightn't it? You know, that would be fun actually. Let Chelsea get Man City. We'll get Wolfsburg, and then that's happy days, and that'll be good. But yeah, that's a good point actually. So yeah, well yeah, because Chelsea won the group, didn't they? And Man City came second, so it would be exactly the same. If we can get Man City, so can Chelsea. We just can't get Chelsea because they won the group. So
it's right. I just checked if they draw each other in the Champions League, then they play Champions League midweek, on the weekend WSL against each other, and then next midweek again Champions League. So it would be in 1 week 3 times Chelsea, Man City. Yeah, it would be interesting. But another point is for the English coefficient in the UEFA ranking, it's very important how this group stage went. Chelsea won all 6 games, we won 5, and City won 5 games. So we are now on 2nd position in this UEFA ranking. What's important for the next seasons to get our places in the Champions League. So very good season so far for the English teams, and it's the first time that one country has 3 teams in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and I think that shows, doesn't it? That, you know, we've been saying it for a while now that the WSL is clearly the strongest league in Europe in terms of depth, and I think this proves it now, doesn't it? You know, the fact that we have got 3 teams through to the all 3 are through to the quarterfinals, and hopefully at least one of them is going to go on and win it, and we know which one we hope that's going to be. But yeah, I think it shows, doesn't it, the strength that the WSL's got now, and it's translating itself from the domestic league into Europe as well. You know, great results for all 3 clubs throughout the group stage. You know, and yeah, it's a good place to be at the moment, isn't it? And what that means is as well that when the top players are thinking of moving clubs, the top players in Europe, they're going to want to come to the WSL as their first option. Like, you know, it was a few years ago, wasn't it, when all the overseas players in the men's game wanted to come to the Premier League because it was the best league. And I think the same with the WSL now. I think we're going to see a lot of the top European players wanting to play in the WSL. And us as one of the top clubs is going to be able to attract the very, very best players. And it's a good position to be in at the moment. But we need to build on it and obviously progress and win the next one. And that would be great. And let's get another semi-final, which would be fantastic. LG says a Chelsea v City quarter-final, please. Yeah, I'd like that as well. Now we know about that game in between. I would like that, yeah. 3 games, that's going to take a lot out of both of those 2 clubs, actually. And that could be a massive advantage to us. So, yeah, bring it on, absolutely. Let's pray for that one. And that would be good, wouldn't it? But yeah, we've done our job, and we couldn't have done any more. You know, we at the start of the season. Actually, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the season first. Actually, then we'll get onto it. I mean, before I was thinking, well, I want to put a picture on this particular graphic, the highlight of the season so far. And there were several different pictures I'd sort of had a look at. You know, there was a few great goals from some of the great games. You know, Leslie Russo with her great performances, and that picture popped up with Andreas and Gunnar Solskjaer. I think, you know what, that to me was the highlight of the season so far. So I'll put that picture on because that was a fantastic moment, a fantastic memory of the season, which is good. But yeah, I mean. So it's basically halfway through the season, aren't we? We got the break to come. I mean, when things started all the way back in August, whenever it was, when we had the Champions League qualifying in stage, things were very different. They didn't seem it at the time. We didn't know what was coming, but you know, things were very different, wasn't it? I mean, Jonas was. I mean, I always tried to defend Jonas, even when results were bad and this, that, and the other. I tried to defend him because I felt he was doing an okay job. Yes, we needed to be better, but I felt as though he had done enough to maybe deserve the time to get things right. And the start of the season, obviously, the most important thing was qualifying for the group stage of the Champions League. That was what we had to do. It was having failed the year before. It was so important. I think there was a lot of pressure on us to do that, and there was a lot of games to play. Obviously, there was 2 games in the first place, which we won reasonably comfortably, and then obviously there was a 2-leg tie against Hacken, which in the end, I know we lost the first leg, but we won quite comfortably in the end to make it through. And I don't know whether the pressure of all of that made it a difficult start to the season anyway. Man City was a difficult game to play in the first game as well, though we didn't play badly. But it seems strange because it's the same season. It's only 3 or 4 months ago, but that part of the season seems like long history, doesn't it now? Because of what's happened since. It almost seems like a totally different time. And it was only a few months ago, and it's only the same season. But it's almost like you can't almost connect the two together because it's so different in the way that we're playing. And I do feel a little bit sorry for Jonas because there was a lot of pressure, wasn't there, on them Champions League qualifying games, having failed the year before. And I think that had a massive impact on the way the season started overall. Do you maybe feel that was a factor in that? I mean, obviously, we know Jonas maybe wasn't quite getting it right, but do you think that extra pressure this year was even more difficult for him?
It was not only the pressure of qualifying for the group stage in Champions League, but also the pressure for the whole season. We said it before, it's a do or die season for Jonas, and everybody said this. And I think such things, you can't ignore this as a person, as a human being. Of course, he heard this, he read this, he knew that everybody is expecting to win trophies this season, qualifying for the group stage and win at least a trophy, a better trophy than the League Cup. And this pressure, of course, was on him and on the team. But we discussed it earlier that his tactics didn't work in the first weeks, and maybe it was over tactical what he gave to the team, and no freedom to do on the pitch what they wanted, or what to decide during a game what is right or what should be changed. It was all too much plan, too much tactics, and the tactics didn't work. And what I said in August, September, the team didn't believe in his tactics, or better say, they lost the belief that the tactics are working, or that there is no plan B. If the game is not as going as we want it, we can't react. We don't have the tools from our manager to react and change a game around. So one came to the other, and then the results were not there. We lost 2 points against City. We lost the heavy loss against Bayern Munich, then at home against Chelsea. And with every game, the pressure was rising, and we know what happened. The pressure was too high, and before the club could react, Jonas reacted, and it was the best decision from his point of view, not to be sacked and say, okay, I don't find the solution, I don't find a way to change things around, so I'm going. was the best he could do, and it was also the best for the club. They didn't have to make the decision to sack a manager, but there was a clear cut, and yeah, we saw that this cut was needed, and the team went on with their minds were free, and Renee did what was necessary. Her task was to find winning ways back and to get results, and that was what she did, what the team did. And she often said in interviews that the team was they were extremely confident or trying to change things. They were saying what they want to change in training, what they want to do, and they changed within a game when they realized, this is not working, we should do this or that, and they had the freedom to do this. So yes, it looks like two different seasons, or at least two halves of the season in this first half. And fortunately, we are on a good way now. just think it was the other way around. It would be terrible. So I'm happy with the situation how it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose had it been the other way around, then maybe the change would be made now, wouldn't it, rather than when it was. But I mean, I do feel sorry for Jonas, and probably a little bit even more so now, because he'll be watching this team that he had taken maybe as far as he could at the time, and he's seen his former assistant go on and get much more out of them by a few tweaks here and there. Now, what I actually liked from Renee as well was recently when she said that the foundations that Jonas put in place are what she's been able to build on. And I think that's the important one, that she recognises that. And also as well, the fact that sometimes, and we can maybe relate this to our men's team at the moment, a manager can set good foundations in place and he can maybe move the club forward from where they were. But if that one manager isn't able to take that next step, you have to bring someone else in who can do that, regardless of how well they've done or not. I mean, Jonas won us some trophies, and yes, okay, there wasn't the trophies that we wanted, but with a little bit more luck here and there, he could easily have added 2 or 3 more trophies to his collection. He could have won the WSL in his first season, the Champions League. We were so close to the final in his second season, and the 2 League Cups that we did win. So he was quite unlucky in some ways, but ultimately he failed in those other things, didn't he? At the end of the day, it's a results business, and we didn't get the right results to win those trophies. And I think that, I think Jonas had taken this group of players as far as he could. He got the squad together, he picked the players he wanted, and we got a very, very good group of players. And he didn't quite seem able to get them playing in the right way that they needed to, which Renee has come in. And yes, is it because she's a woman and she understands them a little bit better emotionally? Maybe that's a factor. But she seems to have not changed massive amount of things. And as she said herself, she didn't need to. She's come in. She knew what was going on because she was there before. She's tweaked 1 or 2 things. She's maybe got the players to take a little bit more responsibility for themselves, as opposed to maybe Jonas didn't allow that. Jonas maybe wanted to have control over those kind of things, where she said, you know what, you guys know what you're doing. You can have more of an input, as you said. And I think that's been a big difference as well. And it's just little things, isn't it? Little subtle things that she's brought in that have suddenly made a team that was underperforming. You have to say they were. Not just the start of this season, but a lot of last season as well, underperforming for the players that we had. And Renee's come in, and now they're not underperforming. They've reached a level that we always knew they were capable of, and not just in the odd game here and there, which we were doing before. We're now doing it consistently week. And even when we're not quite at the level, we're still managing to find a way to get a result, which last season was a big problem, wasn't it? When we didn't play well last season, we tended to lose because it just didn't happen, did it? So, I do. I personally feel sorry for Jonas a little bit, and I feel as though he did the right thing by stepping away rather than being sacked, which probably would have happened sooner or later anyway. I think that's obvious. But Yelgi says Jonas was a terrible manager. We knew this was an outstanding squad, yet he made them look like average players. Take, for instance, Russo. He made the team play well below the level. Well, no, I agree with quite a bit of that. I wouldn't say he's a terrible manager. I don't think a terrible manager wins 2 cups in 2 seasons, gets to Champions League semi-final, gets within 1 point of winning the league title. I don't think he's a terrible manager. I think he had flaws and he wasn't able to. Don't forget, he put this outstanding squad together, didn't he? You know, he got these players together. I mean, yes, some of them were already there, but he brought a lot of them in. And so I think he needs to get credit for that. He wasn't quite able to make them gel properly together. And yes, that's his faults there. But I wouldn't say he's a terrible manager. I think that's a little bit harsh. I pretty much agree with the rest of it. You're right. It was an outstanding squad, and he wasn't able to get the best out of them. Absolutely. But I think that's a bit harsh to call him a terrible manager. He was okay. Terry says, now we're managerless, things can only get better, onwards and upwards. Just Med Arteta now, and the trophies will flow. Exactly, and I agree with that. James says we got 5 points from the first 5 games of the season. Disappointing. If we were half decent, we probably would have been neck and neck with Chelsea right now. Well, exactly. I mean, you look at it since Rene's come in, we are exactly neck and neck with Chelsea because we've got exactly the same number of points from those games that Chelsea have. All wins and 1 draw, which is what Chelsea have got. So, yeah, we would have been up there. You're right. But having said that, it was a difficult start to the season. Anyway, Man City at home was never going to be an easy game. The return of Viv and all that kind of stuff, the emotion involved in that, all those Champions League qualifiers in the build-up to that as well, not easy. That game came between the 2 legs against Hacken as well, which was never going to be easy. Having played Chelsea as well in the early part of the season was never going to be easy. So I think we have to look at it a little bit like that as well. But yeah, you're right. 5 points from them first 5 games. It looks like it's going to prove to be too much in the end to make up. And it's a shame, but there you go. I mean, we've been neck and neck with Chelsea since, and we've been ahead of Man City since. We've got more points than Man City over that period of time. So who knows? Terry says, why do people always say it's not the trophies we wanted to win? I want to win all of them. I don't care what they're called. Just well, no, I agree. And I'm happy to win any trophy. Absolutely. But at the start of the season, we've got 4 trophies we can win. There are an order, and there are a priority. There is. There's no doubt. There is, isn't there? I mean, for me, the WSL is number 1. The Champions League is number 2. The FA Cup's number 3, and the League Cup's number 4. Now, if we win one of them, I'm happy, of course. But if we can win number 1 or number 2, wow. If we win number 3, even better. And winning number 4 is like, well, okay, that's fine, but it's not quite enough, is it? I don't think. I mean, what have you made it? Because I think most people were reasonably happy with the League Cup. The 2 finals were fantastic, beating Chelsea, brilliant. But it's not for Arsenal. That's not really enough, is it? We need to be winning more than that, don't we? Surely.
Yeah, exactly. You can say what you want. The League Cup is the number 4 of these 4 trophies. Of course, it's better to win the League Cup than to win nothing. Yeah, of course. We had 2 seasons in which we won a trophy, but it's the number 4 trophy, and we failed in the FA Cup very early, and we were out of the title race in the WSL very early. In the last season, we weren't even in the Champions League. So, yeah. I don't agree that Jonas is a terrible manager. No, he had his good sides, and he built this team. He was able to convince very, very good players to sign for Arsenal, to come to us. But as we always said, he's not able to bring the best out of them. He didn't understand how to manage it, that they played together as a real team. And players like Alessia Russo or Mariona at the beginning of the season, they were average, not the quality they can show. And maybe it was a ceiling that he reached with the development of the team so far, and he couldn't get far beyond this. And maybe it's the personal aspect, the contact, this as you see, Renee says that there is a lot of laughing in the dressing room. She knows that laughing doesn't win points, but it's important that the girls like to come to training and love their job again. And this laughing, this is important. When you like your job and you say, very good, tomorrow again training, or we say tomorrow again at the office, that's great. I love the people around me and I love to work with them and what we are building together. this is the situation right now, and this was not the situation at the beginning of the season. So this is what I say. Maybe it's the personal aspect, this human contact, where Jonas has his problems, and with the development of the team, he reached the ceiling. So it was a point where we couldn't go on together. And I wish him the best of luck and hope we will see him as a manager of a top club in the WSL, or maybe he considers moving to the Bundesliga. Why not? Would be great to see him at a big team and what he can achieve there. He had a good time with us, a good spell, 2.5 years, but now, the team feels free to develop and take responsibility on their own. And you see how players developed in this last month. I mean, Leslie Russo is the best example. She's full of confidence, and her goals, this fourth goal against Villa, she wouldn't have scored this 3 months ago. Mariana taking the penalty after having missed 3 days before, full of confidence. The great season so far from Caitlin Ford or from Steph Catley. You can name a lot of players who developed in these last 3 months, taking responsibility for the team, for themselves, and development shows it was the right decision in early September or late September.
Absolutely, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was the right decision, and I think that it's obviously events since then have proved that it was the right decision, I suppose. But I mean, we've got the dilemma now, or the issue now, is why are the club dragging their heels over an announcement? Why are they taking this long? Like you said, Jonas resigned in September. It's now nearly Christmas, and the club haven't actually made a decision. That Renee's had block to block in charge. She's had what, four blocks now, whatever it is. You know, she's winning nearly every game, and for some reason, the club haven't made an announcement. Still, even after Wednesday night, when we've topped the group of the Champions League. I mean, what more can she do? She's won 9 games out of 10, I think it is, and drawn the other one. I mean, it's amazing that the club have taken their time over this. I cannot believe that this decision hasn't been made. If they don't think Renee's the right person for the job, after the results that we've had and the way the team have been playing and the turnaround in everything that's gone on, I don't know what. First of all, I don't know what more she can do. And if they don't think she's the right person, why on earth haven't they got the person they believe is the right person already here? Why haven't they done that? It makes no sense to have kept this situation like it is. You know, maybe it's worked out quite well because not having the pressure of being the full-time manager might have helped Renee maybe more than having that extra pressure. I don't know. But it just seems like it's a little bit, everything's up in the air still, isn't it? I think the club need to make why are they taking this long? Why are they... Do you think it's because that they maybe been target, or they had been targeting a different manager that they've been maybe not able to get over the line, and they were thinking, well, we want to wait. Renee's doing all right, so we'll keep her. Or do you think that I don't know, why else would they wait this long? I can't understand it.
First of all, I think the club was not prepared for a manager change during the first half of the season. They were surprised by Jonas' decision. And they were not. Yeah. The club was not ready to sack him and have a solution or an idea of a new manager. So when Jonas resigned, the decision was, okay, let's do it with Renee for the next few games. And they were searching. We heard that there was a list. They were with a few names on it, and they were checking all these names. And they were searching for a new permanent manager, and I think in mid of September or so, the club was clear. Renee won't do this. We won't appoint her as manager. We are searching the new manager, and then the results came. The team played better, and now the pressure from outside came to announce Renee or give her the job permanently, and now. Yeah, maybe the departure of Edu has also played in this. What is the structure? Who is making the decision? Only Claire Wheatley, or why are they waiting? I think now is a moment where the waiting will influence the winter transfer window, and even extending contracts that are running out in summer, or the summer transfer window. If you don't know who will be the permanent manager, you don't sign for this club, or you don't extend your contract. So make a decision now. If the club is the opinion Rene is not the long-term solution, then find the new manager and announce him now between Christmas and New Year's Day. We can't wait again and say, for the next 4 games in January and February, it's still interim solution. No. Then we will see. So now we must make the solution. If you don't trust her, okay, then appoint a new permanent manager. If you trust her, give her, I would say, an 80-month contract, 6 months for this season, and then 1 more year. So, and give her the responsibility for the winter transfer window and for the next summer transfer window. And then we will see. If it doesn't work, we can react in summer. If maybe we play a terrible second half of season and lose everything, lose the momentum, then we have to react in summer. But if it continues this way and we continue our good run now, then if she has an 18-month contract, we will see. And then, in one complete season, you can say, maybe she's too young or she's not the right one. Then search for a new manager. But this situation can't continue. Not for another block. Not saying for the next 4 or 5 games we keep interim. No, make a decision, please, and make a good winter transfer window. There are rumors about players leaving, maybe going on loan. This is a situation uncomfortable for everybody.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, to be perfectly honest. It's become a bit of a mess, and it doesn't need to become a mess, because on the pitch everything's going smoothly, everything's going exactly to plan, everything's falling into place. And I suppose Renee's got very little pressure on her this season because of the start that we had. If we don't win the WSL, it's not her fault. She wasn't manager for the first 4 games, right? And that's 4 or 5 games. So that it's not going to be her fault. Yes, okay, all the cup competitions she's been in charge of, and if we lose all of those quite quickly in the new year, then I guess there will be pressure in that sense. But I don't know. I can't see any harm in her having the rest of this season. I can't see the reason not to do that. There's no reason not to give her at least the rest of this season and announce it. She's managed until the end of the season. I agree with you. I would give her 18 months. I would give her the rest of this season and all the next season, a whole pre-season, a full season as well. And then we'll know what her abilities are and whether or not she's capable of taking us to the next level that we need to be at, which is obviously not only challenging for these big trophies, but actually winning some of them. And is she able to do that? At the moment, nobody really knows because she hasn't really got that experience. But you can only go off what we've seen. And at the beginning, I only thought she was an interim option. I never even thought give her the job a try. It never even entered my head. We spoke about it on the show, didn't we? Yes, she needs to steady the ship, get things in the right direction again, and then get a proper manager in. And we all thought that. Yeah. Well, most of us thought that. But now she's 100% won me over completely by the way that we're playing, the football we're playing, the results that we're getting, the amount of fun everybody seems to be having. Watching it, it's more fun. Obviously, the girls are having more fun playing. You can see that, and everything is. She's turned it around for me. She's convinced me 100% that she should get the job, and I say at minimum till the end of this season as a minimum, and I would even be looking further than that. And like you said, we've got a transfer window coming up. We can't have this uncertainty. The club have got to act. They've got to act, and they've got to do it. If we go into the Crystal Palace game in January, our first game back in January, if we go into that game and Renee is still interim manager, the club have failed, and they failed badly. They have failed badly, and they've got 2 or 3 weeks now to get this sorted out. They've got to do it. They've got to do it. I don't know what are you waiting for? Come on, Arsenal. Let us know. What are you waiting for? I don't understand what you're waiting for. She can't do any more than she's done. She's done everything possible. And if you still don't think she's good enough, fair enough. But then make a decision and get someone else in. Do it. If you don't think she's the right one, put the person in place that you think is. But for me, Renee has earned the chance to get the job on a permanent basis, and that's what needs to happen. Absolutely, it does. James says there, I think Andreas was spot on. Jonas was too tactical to the point that he stifled the players' creativity. To the point they started doubting themselves. Absolutely. And I think we could actually transfer that across to the men's team with Arteta as well. I think that's a 100% spot on assessment of Arteta as well. He's too tactical and he stifles the players. I don't think they're not quite doubting themselves, most of them, in the men's team yet, but I can see it heading in a similar direction. But anyway, let's wait and see. LG says, one of Jonas's biggest hiccups was his blind faith in Zinsberg. Well, yes, I think that's pretty obvious. Yeah, he picks her far too many times and he shouldn't have done. Although, to be fair, even, he was manager when Daphne came in, and after she was injured at the start of the season, he did put her in as number one, didn't he, for most of the games towards the end of his time. So, he maybe saw it as well. LG said, I always said on this channel that Jonas did not have the connection with the players and no one believed me. Now, it wasn't that we didn't believe you. You did say that, and, this is going back quite a long time. I can remember it quite clearly, and you're right. It wasn't that we didn't believe you. I don't think we didn't want to have that distrust in the manager, maybe. And I don't know, obviously you're right, and, you've been proved right, and that's great. But yeah, I wouldn't say that we didn't believe it. We maybe didn't want to think that was really happening, and that maybe there was other stuff, whatever. I don't know, but yeah, obviously you're right. Joe says maybe as they have a great media team, they'll tell us on Christmas Day. Well, I'd like to know it before Christmas Day, if I'm honest. I don't see why we need to wait till Christmas Day, but yeah, maybe they will. Greg says, I heard Righty say they want a top man manager, which I think is correct. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What we need is the best manager for this club with this group of players at this time. Whether it's a man or whether it's a woman, doesn't matter. I've always said that I don't care. I don't care about any of that kind of diversity stuff and anything. I just want the best. At my club, I want the best people in the jobs. And, if they're good enough, it doesn't matter. And I think in this particular example, Renee has proved herself to be good enough. She's proved to be the right person at the right time. And if the club are thinking of, we need a male coach, then unless they get one that's going to do better than what Renee's done, that's, to me, that would be the wrong decision, wouldn't it? But let's see what happens. It'd be interesting. James says the club also needs to take some responsibility for our underperformance too. Took too long to tell Jonas to go, despite it being obvious the players had lost connection and faith in him. I mean, we don't know what went on behind the scenes. Obviously, Jonas has. Technically, he resigned, although quite possibly he'd had conversations with the club and maybe it was put to him that it might be the best option for him to resign. I would imagine that's probably more likely to be the case. But yeah, the club do need to take responsibility, absolutely, because yeah, it was obvious that maybe things wasn't quite right with Jonas for a little while before it got to that point. And now that that's happened, they're still dragging their feet over making a decision. So they've got it wrong. The club have got it wrong this whole season, really. The only thing they've got right is giving Renee the role as interim manager in the first. The only thing they've got right, because she was obviously the right one, and we can see that's the only thing they've managed to get right in all of this. But they can make it right now by actually giving her the job properly. Anyway, you'll see. Terry says, "I'll make the announcement. Renee Utmed." No, don't Utmeda. Don't do that. James says, "No, they are taking ages to announce Renee." Well, not just announce Renee. Maybe Renee's not the one they're going to announce, but announce somebody. Make the decision. Announce it. Make it. We need a permanent manager. We do. I want Renee. Most of us want Renee, but let's see. LG says, have you guys realised the best managers in the women's game are actually women? Emma Hayes, Serena Wiegman, and Bon Pasta are arguably the top three. It says something. Just give it to Renee already. Yeah, I mean, obviously, those three that you've mentioned there are at the very, very top of the game, aren't they? Emma Hayes has won everything pretty much. Serena's what a manager she's been at international level as well. And obviously, Bon Pasta as well has won everything that there is to win. So, yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe they are the best. Maybe women coaches are the best for the women's game, for women's players. And that is an example there. But then equally, you could look at other clubs that's had women coaches and they've won nothing. it just so happens that those three are women and they're the most successful ones in recent years. But also, there has been male coaches that have also done well. Joe did well for us, won us league title. Obviously Vic Akers, the original manager. And I know things have changed now since them days, but yeah, I say I'm not bothered whether they're a man or a woman. I don't really care. I just want them to be the best and do the best job. So far, Rene's done that for me. And you're right. Let's just announce it. What are we waiting for? Greg says, if I was Rene, I'd put two fingers up to the club and go to a club that would value her. Well, I don't think the club don't value her. They obviously valued her enough to make her interim and keep her as interim for the 10 games that she's had so far. But I don't know what's happening. I really don't. Joe says, LG, I've said this, female players are different to males, and that includes physically and psychologically. Women managers manage differently and the teams respond to it. No, absolutely no. That is, I think I've always said, and this is not just in football or sport, it's in life in general, men and women are different, right? And there's nothing wrong with men and women being different, and we should celebrate the differences rather than try to equal it all out and say, well, men and women are the same, they're equal. No, they're not. And I'm not saying the one's better than the other or not, because they're not. Men have got certain strengths and weaknesses, women have got other strengths and weaknesses, and together it's a good combination. And when it comes to sport, I think that's a good point. I think a woman understands a woman's psychology more, because let's face it, as men we haven't got a clue about women's psychology. None of us have, right? Exactly what you say, we haven't, right? We just don't, because it's not something that is easy to understand as a man. It isn't. And I think in sport in particular, the way to get maybe the best out of a female player is that a female is maybe better able to do that. I don't know. I'm just going off experiences in life and seeing what's happened. But I think you're probably right. Female players probably I think female players will respond differently to a male coach than they do to a woman. Whether it's more positively or more negatively, I'm not sure always, but they'll definitely respond differently. You've only got to look at any workplace. When women are together with women, they're totally different to when they're with men, aren't they? Women act differently, they respond differently, and that's in real life, normal life. So of course it's going to be the same in sport, isn't it? They're going to respond differently to a male than they do to a female. That's obvious. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a fact. And we need to look at things like that maybe now, because everything's analysed so much more. Let's be honest, I don't think men have a clue about understanding women. So it's probably better if a woman maybe does that job. I don't know. Terry says, come on, hit the like and subscribe button. We need to get to 3,500. Well, I don't know if we get to 3,500 by Christmas. Christ, it'd be nice. El Loco says the Renaissance turned Arsenal into a machine by doing simple things. Yeah, exactly. Big difference between Renee and Jonas is the calmness. She's calm. Jonas is all over the place, and this affects players on the pitch. Yeah, he was a lot more emotional, wasn't he? Whereas Renee is a lot more calm, a bit like Serena. Obviously, being Dutch, maybe that's part of their character as well. I know a few Dutch people, and they are generally quite calm and laid back. So, that's obviously a factor, isn't it? But you're right about simple things. I think that's been key, hasn't it, Andreas? What Renee's done, she hasn't made massive big changes. She hasn't changed very much at all. It's just subtle little things, isn't it? Changing a couple of little things here and there, but they've made a massive difference.
Yeah, and what nearly every player said about her, that they realized she was in the game a few years ago. She was a player in the women's game, and they feel this, and this is a different approach than Jonas could have, because he never could be part of the women's game. He was part of the men's game, and it's different. And they valued this. And in nearly every interview you hear this. Oh yeah, Renee, she was a player a few years ago. She knows us. She knows our situations. That's different. And I think Leah Williamson said this after the Bayern game. She's glad that she's not in the position to make this decision. That it's not up to her. She's not responsible for this decision, and she's happy not to be. I think the whole team is waiting for the decision. And as you said, make a decision. Announce who will be the manager in January. And don't wait for the cup game and then the Palace game. After the Palace game, we have away matches at Chelsea and at Man City. you don't want to bring a new permanent manager end of January and say, oh, your first match is away at City and Chelsea.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it would be. I don't know. I can't understand why they're dragging their heels. I really can't. LG says this is the Arsenal way. They don't make decisions. They wait for people to make decisions for them. Yeah. Wenger resigns, then sacked. Emery should have gone earlier, and Jonas resigned rather than sacked. Yeah, that's. I mean, you're right. All those things are right. Absolutely. And Arsenal don't tend to make those decisions, do they? Or they don't make them early enough or quickly enough. They take too long, and then sometimes it's too late. They make the decision too late. I mean, you're saying Emery should have gone earlier. To a certain degree, that's true. But also, you could say that had they backed him and given him more time, he may well have turned things around, looking at what he's done since. But anyway, that's a different argument for another time. But you're right about Arsenal. They definitely don't make decisions quickly enough. They don't do it at all. I don't know why. Terry says, let's hope Wright was talking about the men's team. Well, yeah, let's hope he was, but I don't think he was. Colin says, anyone but Rene, they'll be mending something that isn't broken. Anyone but Rene, and it will be broken. Yeah, you're probably right, actually. I agree with that. Greg says, Hayes wasn't a manager until she went to Chelsea. They took a chance. So what's the difference with Rene? Everyone has to start somewhere. And absolutely, yeah. Well, she started some, hasn't she? She started already. She started the process now. She's a manager. She's been manager now for 10, 11 games, and she's done not too bad, I don't think, but maybe that's just me. Joe also remember Jonas shouting and storming around the touchline. Yeah, he did, and that was his personality. I mean, let's face it, Emma Hayes does things like that as well. You know, she's not the calmest of people, is she? You know, she's a totally different personality to Rene. Obviously, it doesn't mean that Rene can't be successful being different. A different personality. Nothing wrong with that at all. Terry says, what is everyone watching in the chat? Rene is bang average at best, just like Arteta. You need to raise your ambitions and get the best we can. Well, who's to say Rene isn't the best we can get? Who's to say that? She's won 10 games out of 11 and drew the other one, and we should have won that one as well. It was just one bad mistake at the end of the game. El Loco says, 100% Colin, don't fix what isn't broken. Exactly, yeah. Colin says that Arsenal should talk to the players and get their thoughts on the matter. To a certain degree, I think yes, but I don't think players should be selecting the manager. I think the club need to make that decision. The players should have maybe an input to a certain degree, but it's like any job, isn't it? You know, you don't ask your staff who should be manager. The management of the company make those decisions, and it should be the same with Arsenal. The people who make those decisions, whether it's Claire Wheatley, whoever it might be, they need to make that decision. I'm not saying don't take advice from people, don't speak to people, but ultimately they can't. The players shouldn't really decide, because obviously every single one of them players would most of them will say, yeah, of course we want Rene. Of course they would. Like if you asked all the fans, who do the fans want? The fans want Rene. But should the club make the decision based on that reason alone? No. They need to make it on all the reasons that you have to when you're picking a manager for anything. You have to pick them for all the right reasons. But the club needs to have they've had 2 or 3 months to do this, to look into the situation. Is Rene the right character? Is she the right person? Can she do it? They shouldn't be still deciding. They should have been decided a long time ago. James says, good point, Greg. I keep hearing people saying Rene has no experience, but she has more experience than Hayes had when Chelsea took a chance on her. And we all saw the result. Yeah, I don't know, football's different now and there's more pressure. Maybe there's more money, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Anyway, El Loco says, breaking news. Rene is nominated by WSL for Manager of the Month against Man U's Mark Skinner and Spurs Robert Blaman for this. Well, yeah, she is. Yeah, she was announced as one of the candidates. Yeah, rightly so, because she won every single match in December. So she should win it, quite obviously, because she couldn't have done any better, could she? No one's done better than her. Greg says she's been nominated for the last 2 months. Yes, she has. Yeah, I don't think she won it last month, did she? No. Terry says, I don't see why don't you want Rene? I can't understand why you wouldn't want to give her the opportunity, at least until the end of this season. I'm not saying don't give her a 10-year contract, but she deserves the chance. Surely she deserves a chance with what she's done so far. But let's just make a decision on it. But obviously, this has been the main talking point of the season, hasn't it? The first half of the season has been taken up completely by is she or isn't she going to get the job? Because that's all we've been talking about. And the reason for that is because the club haven't made a decision when they should have done. Joe says there, Rene was head coach of Sweden under-23s and has 55 caps. Yeah, as a player, absolutely. And I think managing an under-23s is not the same as managing a club team permanently, but yes, she's had experience of, and obviously she's worked under Jonas before as well. So, but yeah, she's got enough pedigree in women's football, and she's proved herself to be worthy of the job. But anyway, that has been the big talking point of the season so far. There's no doubt about that, and I'm sure it's going to continue to be a talking point until the club make the decision, announcement, whatever it is. Because it has to be sorted out now over the next couple of weeks. Has to be. Greg says Arsenal don't want success; they just want the money. Well, yeah, and they want a feel-good factor with everybody happy, don't they? They want the fans to be happy. They want the dog to be happy. They want everybody to be happy. And you're right. I don't think success and trophies is necessarily the top of their priority. The owners of the club, I agree with you 100%. And until the owners of this club have changed, I don't think we'll see much difference in the way things are. We'll always be okay. We'll always be quite good. We'll always be up there around and about. But are we ever going to get to the point where we're winning consistently trophies? I'm not sure if we will with this owners of the club. LG says Renee played for the Arsenal Academy. Yes, she did. Yeah, she did play. She had some time at the Arsenal Academy. Yeah. James says Terry also wants 9 players out in January, so I'm not surprised. Terry also I don't think he wants 9 players out. I think we might see a couple leave. Royston says just heard about Germany. What's happening in Germany? Not sure what's happened in Germany, so I don't know. Grat says, hi there, joining late today. You are joining a bit late, but Lloyd, you're here. What's happened in Germany? What has happened in Germany? Anybody actually know? Can someone fill us in on what's happened in Germany?
There was an attack to a Christmas market in Magdeburg. 11 people died there.
Oh, wow.
And the suspect is from Saudi Arabia. I think this.
Wow.
I haven't heard this before. I just checked it online.
Wow.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Royston, thanks for letting us kind of informing us of something that happened. And wow, I mean, what a terrible thing anyway. But this close to Christmas as well, it's just unbelievable, really, isn't it? Unbelievable. Wow. Well, that's put a bit of a dampener on things, hasn't it? But incredible. But unfortunately, these things happen in the world, aren't they? All thoughts go out to everybody who's been affected by that, obviously, in Germany. Terry says, James, it's 8 players. Oh, yeah, okay, 8 players. Yeah, fair enough. El Loco says, giving Renee the job is the biggest decision of the women's team. It's a make or break moment, and if Renee doesn't get it, the team is broken. Yeah, that may well be the case. LG says spot on. Vibes and merchandise are more important to Arsenal win. So it seems to be, it seems to be. And this is something that's been dragging on for too long. And until we get the owners out, I can't see it changing, to be honest. I mean, obviously that news in Germany is a bit of a shock, really. As it's not great at all, is it? But there's nothing you can really say, is that it's just terrible. But I mean, what I did want to do was maybe look at our highlight of the first half of the season, whatever that might be. Andreas, what would be your highlight of the first half of the season? There's been quite a few, I think, in the end, after a sort of slow start. What would be your highlight so far this season?
The highlight is that we were able to turn around the season, and in special the 5-0 against Brighton, 4-0 Villa, and now 3-2 Bayern Munich. These were highlight games, and all 3 home games, and I was in the stands live for all 3 games. So this were, of course, the highlights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, difficult to argue with that. I mean, I think maybe looking more individually, I think my highlight has been seeing the real emergence of Leslie Russo as one of the top strikers in the WSL now. She's joint top scorer this season in the league, and seeing her really flourish at Arsenal, because I was a little bit underwhelmed by her much of last season, if I'm honest. But she's every game now she's getting better and better, and that's been a real highlight for me, because we all love Leslie Russo. She's brilliant, but I never felt it was quite working at Arsenal, but it is now. And to see that transformation almost of the way she's playing has been really, really I've enjoyed seeing that, and hopefully it continues. But I mean, individual results has been so many. The Brighton game was brilliant. The Villa game was brilliant. The Bayern Munich game the other night. Wow, what a game that was! And there's been a lot of great moments, hasn't there, so far? And yeah, it's been an emotional season, but it's been great so far. Royston says Russo seems more settled now. She's cooking. Yeah, I think she seems happier. Maybe the team are playing more to her strengths. Maybe she's been coached to get into better areas in the box to get more goals and to shoot more and stuff like that. And we've seen it, haven't we? It's been brilliant. Which has obviously been important as well. LG says, sack Arteta and give it to AirPod Al, but let's follow the women's team's footsteps. Or maybe give it to, what's his name, Nikola Jovic, who seems to be more important than Arteta anyway. You give it to him, maybe. Maybe that's the way forward. Royston says, who can we get in the quarterfinal of Champions League? Wolfsburg, Real Madrid, or Man City? We can beat all of them, can't we? Let's be honest. Throw them all in together. We'll beat them all of them, all three of them. We play them all at the same time. We'll beat them all, no problem. Greg says, my highlight is Zinsberger on the bench. She's fun. Yeah, I mean, I think shall we say the emergence of Daphne as the number one is maybe the highlight rather than Zinsberger being demoted to the bench. I mean, Daphne's great, as we know, so that's all obviously great as well. El Loco says maybe they're waiting for Wiegman to be fired after the Euros and then bring her to Arsenal. Maybe, but why would Serena Wiegman necessarily do a better job than what Renee's doing? I don't know. I'm not convinced she necessarily would. Anyway, Terry says, my condolences to the German families and stay safe. Absolutely, yeah, 100%. We all echo that, of course. Royston says that's mean, Greg. Well, it is a little bit mean, but we get the sentiment of it. Grat says, spent the evening with my co-workers, went to a restaurant. They didn't have any mandatory gel board. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm sure it's good. So took matters into their own hands and booked a table at a fancy restaurant. Oh, there you go. You've had a good evening, haven't you? By the look of it. But they had to pay for the food themselves. The company only contribute with £20. I had to pay for the entire thing on my own. Wow. Well, yeah, at least you've had a good time. James says it has to be Steph Catley for me. Came into that left centre back and everyone. Absolutely, yeah. I've got to be honest with you. Obviously there was the Barclays Player of the Month as well, and obviously Steph Catley's been nominated along with Leslie Russo from Arsenal. And although Leslie Russo's got all the goals and she's been brilliant, I actually would vote for Steph. In fact, I will vote for Steph because she's been flawless, literally flawless in that position. She's been fantastic, and I think it's plus as well. I think it's time defenders got more credit as well. Strikers get all the credit; they get the goals. Always a striker always wins Player of the Month, don't they, and everything like that. So I think it for the defenders out there as well to show that defenders deserve credit for when they do a great job as well. Steph's been brilliant. Yeah, you're right, absolutely fantastic. LG said, I've always had faith in Leslie. It was never a coincidence that she was amazing for England, but average when coming back to Arsenal. I knew she wasn't coached properly or other. Yeah, I mean that may have well been the issue. Looks that way now, doesn't it? Because she's a different player now. She's fantastic. I won't say I doubted her. It wasn't working at Arsenal, was it? I was a little bit frustrated with how it was working. Yeah, and as you said, it's probably not her fault as it's turned out. But yeah. Grat says, my highlight, hard to say. I think pick the game against Lynn Shopping just because I went to that game. And now when I write this, I remember that wasn't this season. No, that was last season. That was a great game, actually. That was when Stina and Lena Hertig both scored, didn't they, against their former team, which was quite nice. But no, that was the season before, so it wasn't last season. So there's no game to look forward to, unfortunately, not for a while anyway, because it is a Christmas break, as we know. So the next game's not until January. Now, what I was sort of thinking of doing was, at some stage, I don't know when we're going to do it, is to do like what we normally do, like a look back on the year. An end of year show, if you like. I'm not sure when we're going to be able to do that because next Friday I'm not here, so I won't be able to do it next Friday. And then obviously after that, maybe we could do it the Friday after, actually, couldn't we? Maybe the Friday, the 3rd of January or something like that, isn't it? We could maybe do it then. A look back on 2024, perhaps, because that could be quite good. Greg says, my highlight is the way the players went through adversity and all given 100%. Yeah, exactly. They did go through adversity and come out the other side on top. LG says, who misses Viv now? Who's Viv? I can't remember who Viv is. No. Colin says, Royston, if Leslie's cooking, she can cook for me anytime. My cooking's rubbish. Well, yeah, I mean, if Leslie's going to be cooking, she can invite us all round, quite honestly. And, you know, she can cook us Christmas dinner. Why not? Come on, Leslie, invite us round. You know, we've been singing your praises on this show for the last few months. So come on, invite us round for Christmas dinner. But Viv, I don't know what you mean. Who's Viv? Anybody know Viv? I can't recall a Viv at all. But I don't know. But you're right. We haven't really missed her, have we? I suppose you've missed her a bit, haven't you, Andreas? Probably.
Yeah. Don't forget what she has done for the club, and
No,
yeah, she's our best ever striker, and a lot of bad luck, and now again surgery, and
yeah.
Having not played for 3 months. So I wish her the best of luck if it's not against Arsenal, in any other game. Yeah, because she's a really nice person too, and we shouldn't say too many negative things about her. I hope she will be back on the pitch, and but please not score again against us as she did in the first match. This was not the best from her. But anyway, after 6 months or so, you can say it was the right decision the club had made. Maybe we knew that she still has problems with her knee, etc. And sometimes it's good to move on. And as we said in last summer, no player is bigger than the club. There will always be great players we love them, and we say, this is my favorite player and I want her to stay forever. And then the time will come when this favorite player leaves the club or retires, but it's still the Arsenal, and we are still fans of the club. So let's move on.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was joking. Obviously, you know, I don't wish any ill feelings towards Viv at all. You know, she was a great player for us, and like you said, she's a great person, and I hope she, you know, continues to have a great career. But yeah, we don't want her to do better than us, though, do we? Let's be honest. Terry says Viv Anderson. Oh yeah, I'm a Viv Anderson. I remember him. Yeah, he was a good player. Viv Anderson. Greg says, are you talking about that has-been Dutch player? Well, I don't know about has-been, but yeah, we were indeed. LG says, I knew the past 2 years that we were starting to outgrow Viv. Well, I don't think that really. I mean, obviously she had injury issues and she's not played as much football, and she didn't quite reach her best level again, did she, with us? But it's the right time for the club and for her. It was the right time to part, and I think that's proved to be the point. We've started to grow as a team since, and okay, yeah, she's had her injury problems, but I think that once she's fit, she's going to be a good fit for Man City and do well. So I think it was the right time, wasn't it, for everyone? Valerie says there, Renee won 2 titles in Sweden when she took over from Jonas. Oh well, there you go. Hopefully she can repeat that with us then, with at least 2 titles. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Joe says, thinking about January and the girls having a bit of time off. How can a brand new manager have a positive impact in time for Chelsea? Exactly, yeah. It would be crazy, wouldn't it? It would absolutely be crazy. If they were going to bring a new manager in, they should have brought a new manager in October or November, not now. If they do that to me would be crazy. It would be the craziest thing ever. Grat says there, Terry, what sentence can I provide you with today? Well, yes, Grat's been teaching us some Swedish, actually, and we're doing quite well. Greg says, Viv was a disruption for the past few seasons, so it's good. I think she was a distraction a little bit towards the end. She was, but, you know, she's gone now. We've moved on. She's moved on. We're all happy. She seems happy. So I think it was the right thing all round, wasn't it? And of course, when it comes to looking back on 2024, I'm sure that'll be one of the things that gets mentioned, of course, leaving and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll do that maybe 2 weeks tonight. Then the look back on 2024, the end of year show. Hopefully, Ange won't be out, getting drunk again. She'll be more sensible and able to be able to join us, and hopefully Amar can be with us, and we'll try and get a few people involved. It's going to be a good show as always. LG says, I'm sorry for doubting you, Renee, and calling you a Jonas clone. Well, no, I mean, I'm the same. I doubted that she could do what she's done, absolutely, and I'm happy in the same way. I'll be happy if Arteta proves me wrong. I'm delighted to be proved wrong because I want our club to be successful. Yeah. And at the moment, I mean, we haven't won anything yet under Renee, but we haven't had a chance to. But we're going in the right direction. Greg says at least Beth kept the dog. Well, they're still together, aren't they? So I think they both still got the dog. But it's quite a sweet dog actually. But I think there's too many dogs around Arsenal. I think we need to move away, have less dogs and have more trophies. Would be nice, wouldn't it? But there's nothing wrong with dogs, of course. We love dogs, but there seems to be too many dogs at the minute, as cute as they are. So yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Now, obviously, there is still some football over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, the men are playing tomorrow against Crystal Palace, who we played the other night. It seems strange to play them twice in a few days, but anyway, that game's on tomorrow, 5:30. So I'll be here at 5:15 for that one. Premier League game. It's an important game. It's away from home this one, so it'll be a little bit more tricky, but we'll see. I wonder if Gabriel Jesus will play since he's got a hat trick. Who knows? Grat says there, Vladvar Det Yagsar. He's kind of in your face question, or as I brought up in Sodomine, would you say it Vadver Jasar? Oh well, do you understand that, Andreas, or not? I mean, I know it's kind of Swedish. It looks a little bit like German. I did learn German at school briefly, but I never did very well at it, if I'm totally honest. And I've certainly never learned Swedish until Grat's come along and educated us with some Swedish. But there you go. I'm going to go to IKEA now tomorrow and speak some Swedish, and they'll be impressed, I'm sure. LG says we'll be wearing the third kit tomorrow against Palace, but only means one thing. Yeah, I think the women have won in the third kit, haven't they? But I don't think the men have. It's about time they did. Grat says, I think Arsenal will be beaten 4-1. You think Arsenal will lose 4-1 to Crystal Palace? I don't think that's going to happen, is it? But anyway, we'll see. Joe says, Merry Christmas, Lordy and Rich. Glad I found this podcast. A Merry Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Joe, as well. So we probably won't end this year tomorrow for the Everton game. That'll be our last show before Christmas, of course. And then, in fact, I won't be here for the Ipswich game because they moved it to Friday, which was a shame because it should have been on Boxing Day. But anyway, so I won't be here for that one. But we'll be back, of course, like New Year's Day. There's a game. There's a load more stuff coming. We'll do our end of 2020. We'll do our 2024 review show on the. I think it's is it the 3rd of January, the Friday?
Yeah.
I think it is, isn't it? So we'll do that there. So that's all going to be good. This has been this week's Arsenal women's show. It's been a good show. So I've enjoyed it. It's nice to have some good stuff again to look back on, as always. Some great results, some great victories, some really good times as well. And also, as well, of course, looking back on some of the highlights of, well, not necessarily highlights of the season, but stuff that's gone on. Grat says, go to IKEA and shout, Utmed Arteta, Vladvar the Jagsar. I'll try that tomorrow. I'll probably get thrown out, but I'll give it a go. Greg says, I've never learned another language. Still can't understand why everyone doesn't speak English. Well, to be honest with you, most people can't even speak English very well, can they, in England? So I won't worry about that too much. It's funny, actually, because most people that aren't from England tend to speak better English than people that are from England, I've noticed, actually. So, and yet English is quite difficult to learn. I mean, you must have learned English when you was at school, did you, Andreas?
Yeah. From when I was 11 years old, I started to have English lessons at school, and since then I always tried to learn English. And in my job, I was dealing with international companies and international banks, so it was always this financial or economic English. And now I'm learning the football English, and I hope it works and everybody understands me. But I'm trying my best.
No, yeah, I'll say you speak better English than a lot of English people do. So you should be sort of proud of that, really, because it's great. But yeah, I mean, it's funny how English is a language that so many countries throughout the world do speak, don't they? It's incredible, really, when you think about it. You know, we're a tiny little country that's quite insignificant in the size of the world, and yet everywhere seems to speak English. Well, not everywhere, but a lot of countries seem to speak English, don't they? So I don't quite know how that works, but anyway, it's good that it does, because it means that we can, you know, us stupid English people that can't learn different languages are able to communicate with people from other countries who are more intelligent than us and can learn English and stuff like that. I mean, it always fascinates me. You know, when you hear, say, for example, a football manager in a press conference, sometimes they'll talk 2 or 3 different languages, won't they? You know, they can speak English, they can speak Spanish, they might be able to speak French, and they can communicate in all 3 different languages. And I just think that's amazing that people can do that. You know, I find it difficult enough trying to speak English, let alone trying to speak other language. I just couldn't do it. I say I did briefly learn German at school for about a year. Could never get my head around it. I just couldn't. We had to learn French when we was younger as well, and I found it a little bit easier maybe, but even then I couldn't speak much French now, so I wouldn't say I'm any good at it, but there you go. But we don't seem that bothered, do we? Because everywhere speaks English, so we get lazy and we don't learn other languages because we don't need to. Wherever we go in the world, everybody can speak English. Well, most places you go to, people speak English, don't they? So we've become lazy, I think. I'd love to learn other languages, I really would, but it's too hard. I just can't. Greg says, put a wall across Watford Gap and keep the foreigners out. Well, Watford Gap might be a little bit, that's a little bit too high, isn't it? Maybe we need to bring it down a little bit. Greg says it's a pity Arteta can't speak football. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he needs to learn that, doesn't he? Terry says, talk slowly, Andreas, for 4 years now. No one has a clue what you've been saying. Maybe don't YouTube have subtitles that you can put up, don't they? They have subtitles. Maybe that's what we need. Greg says, that's for the benefit of living in Sweden. We don't dub TV shows, video games and stuff like that. We club kid shows, but programs like Friends, Crosby, etc. was always in native language. Oh, right, okay. I mean, fair enough. That's how it should be, really. But most people in England don't understand anything other than English today. But anyway, that's a different conversation to have. But yeah, it's good that it's good that we can understand Andreas, isn't it? And that he's managed to be able to speak our language, because we would struggle if we had to speak. Well, I'd certainly struggle if I had to speak German. I know that much. Terry says, I can speak English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish, and crap. I bet you can't speak Welsh, not proper Welsh. I bet you can't, because that makes no sense, does it? A lot of their words. But anyway, I mean, Scottish is pretty much English anyway. And I see Irish as well. See, some of Irish has got their own accent. They've got their own language and stuff. They speak some weird way sometimes. So if you can speak all them languages, you'd have done well, actually. Because, even like some of the Scottish islands and stuff, they've got a different language. Up in Shetland, on places like that, Orkney and wherever, so... I don't know. LG says, I've been speaking English all my life, yet I'm from Botswana. Probably because we are a British colony and English is an official language here, together with our local language. Oh, Setswana, is that actually a language, is it? I didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of African countries, English is their native language, isn't it? A lot of the African nations are, probably for that reason, because Britain colonised everywhere, didn't we, I suppose. But I didn't realise Botswana had their own separate language. I didn't even know there was such a thing as Setswana. So that's good, isn't it? You'll have to teach us some of that then, LG. Obviously, we're getting to learn Swedish. We'll get to learn Setswana. Andreas have to teach us German, and we'll be fine. We'll be able to travel over the world and have no problems. And maybe that's what we'll have to do. Anyway, so that is the Arsenal Women's Show then. It is, of course, the start of the weekend. The weekend starts, and it is, of course, last weekend before Christmas. Wow, brilliant. So hopefully, if you don't join us tomorrow for the Arsenal Crystal Palace game, hope you all have a really, really nice Christmas and the new year and everything else. I hope 2025 is a great year for everyone. Especially for Grat, who's learning us how to swear in Swedish, which is always nice. Join me tomorrow if you can for the great game against Crystal Palace against Arsenal. That's going to be good. 5:15. And if not, I say have a good Christmas, everyone. Andreas, Merry Christmas, Andreas. Happy New Year as well. We will speak again, obviously, on January the 3rd. Yes. But that's the Arsenal Women's Show. Have you enjoyed the show? And obviously some bad news in Germany, which kind of disrupted it all a little bit. But
despite the bad news, I was looking forward to the show because I was so full of emotions from the game and from the discussions with my German friends. I told you before that they saw it differently and reading articles that about negative about Arsenal. So looking forward to the show and enjoyed the discussion here. And I'm happy that my blog has nearly 500 views so far.
Yeah.
One highlight is that I made friends with Ganosaurus in the first half of the season. And so I'll try my best to contribute for the show. And to all our viewers, have a Merry Christmas and have a good start in the new year. Hope to see you on the 3rd of January here on the channel, on the show.
Yes, we'll be back then. Fantastic stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'm expecting Gunnar Saw to be going around for Christmas dinner. Really, now he's your best friend. I'm sure he'll get an invite, won't he, for Christmas dinner? I don't know what he'd eat actually. What does dinosaurs eat? I'm not really sure, but anyway, I'm sure we can find something for him to eat for Christmas. Greg says, "Thanks for a great night and a special thank you to Andreas. It must have been difficult hearing such bad news. Love and thoughts of obviously that's terrible stuff." Terry says, Richard and Andreas smashed it again. Stay safe, Andreas. Greg, Ange, and Joe all in the chat. Merry Christmas, everyone. Come on, you Gunner girls indeed. Yep. And Grat says there, I don't know what that means, but it's probably quite.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, is that what it means? Merry Christmas.
God Jule, yes. And then we wanted to say Auf Wiedersehen, the German bye-bye. Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, is that what that is? Oh, I see. So he's trying to speak. I see. All these people can speak different languages. Oh, wow, incredible. Well done, everyone, for that. Colin says, Merry Christmas, everyone. Keep up the good work, Arsenal ladies, especially Leslie. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, happy Christmas, obviously, to the girls as well. And to all you guys as well, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with us in 2020. This will be our last women's show of 2024, the next one, because the next one's going to be January. So thank you to everyone for sticking with us throughout the year, through the good and the bad times. Obviously, we've had some fun on the channel as well. Everybody that's come on, we've obviously got some new people on the channel this year as well, which has been nice. And so hopefully 2025 will keep growing, and hopefully with you guys on board with us as well, will be good. So yeah, we will see. Well, I'll see you tomorrow if you're here for the men's game. Look forward to seeing you for that one. And otherwise, we will see you on January the 3rd for more women's stuff, of course, more games to come in January. And please, Arsenal, make this announcement, please, before Christmas, eh? Make it before Christmas. Make us all happy. Give Renee the job, because she deserves it, doesn't she? So, yeah, this has been the Arsenal Women's Show. Weekend starts now. Enjoy the weekend. There's going to be some football tomorrow. It's going to be good. Hopefully, the weather will be kinder to us. And as we said before, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone affected by the tragic events in Germany this evening. Not a great way to start Christmas, is it really, with news like that? But that's life, unfortunately. So yeah, thanks to Andreas for joining us. Thanks to all you guys for watching. Thanks for all your comments as well. Fantastic as always. Great to have you with us. LG says we move to 2025. We do, indeed, we do. And Greg says, Merry Christmas, Rich, Andreas, Terry in the chat. Thanks for a great year. Well, thank you guys as well. This show would be nothing without your comments and stuff like that. Terry says, smash the likes and subscribe button. Yeah, please do before you go. Make it a good Christmas for us on the channel as well. I wanted 3,000 subscribers before Christmas. We've reached that. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going and going and going. And if you haven't watched Andreas's blog, even it's nearly 500. Get it past 500. Get it to 1,000 views. Come on, everybody, watch the vlog because it's brilliant. And Gunnosaurus is on it as well, so it's worth watching just for that alone. But it's worth watching anyway. But it's extra bonus that you get. I thought Gunnosaurus was going to be at the Emirates. So Gunnosaurus, we want to say well done for picking the right game. Well done to Gunnosaurus. Brilliant. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. We will see you tomorrow. Take it easy, guys. Come on, you Gunners. Give Renee the job. Thank you. See you later, guys.